Hey Mayor Aaron, don't tell me you're writing a love letter to Dakota Kai.
Oh, hey, Co-Mayor Alexa. No, I wasn't. Wait, do you think I should? Okay, then. Well, here's the deal, okay? With LumberJillville getting hit with this horrible winter storm outside, I had one of two options, okay? The first option being grab Dexy, grab the freaks, go outside and do some sick ice-related content for the channel. Probably a little dangerous. Or I could release a wish list of my most wanted women's wrestling figures of 2024. I went with the latter.
Well, I'm glad. I think that's a great idea. Plus, you can't afford to lose any more brain cells, so I think staying out of the bad weather is a good idea.
Thanks. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to my list, so, I'll see you later.
Not so fast. I want to see your list.
Ha! No way, not before I release a video. This list right here, super secret.
I'm your co-mayor. Let me see it.
No.
You know I can hurt you and get that list away from you easily.
Oh, yeah? Ah. Try getting the list now.
Wow. Okay, I'm leaving. I'll just wait for the video.
Yeah, keep walking. That's what I thought. You know, in retrospect, I don't think I should have swallowed that. Oh. Hey y'all, welcome to LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. And welcome to today's bonus video where I give you my wish list for 2024. What women's wrestling figures I want to see released in 2024. Now what's cool is I did this video last year for 2023. So we're going to start this video off by going over the images of what I wanted to see in 2023. And we'll see how many of them were actually released or how many weren't. Now when I show an image of last year's picks, if there's a green check, that means that they were released in some way, shape, or form. And I'll explain in detail later when I go over it. But yeah, we'll start off with that. And then I'll cover the figures I want to see in 2024. So I'm super excited. And this is kind of a thank you video, right? Because recently I just hit 4,000 subscribers on LumberJillville, and that's such a big deal to me, and it just means a lot. All the support that y'all have given me, the community that we have here in LumberJillville of women's wrestling figure collectors, fans, supporters, it's just amazing, and I can't thank y'all enough. So I'm trapped indoors from this winter storm. I thought, you know what? I'm going to make a video talking about what I want to see in 2024. So I hope y'all enjoy it and appreciate it. But once again, thank y'all. I love y'all so much. The residents of LumberJillville are truly the best. Now, that being said, let's get started with a line that I wanted to see in 2023. Now, in 2023, I really wanted to see a dedicated NXT Elite Series, much like they used to, and I think they had the star power at the time. And I was really hoping to see a dedicated NXT Elite Series. Now, as you can see from this image, all those green checks tell us that we actually got a figure of every one of these superstars that I wanted to see in figure form. Now, we did get a Grayson Waller, Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Cora Jade, and Roxanne Perez Elite, and we got a Tiffany Basic, but still, it's a figure. Now, I really hope in the future we get a Tiffany Elite, but I'm just ecstatic that we literally got every one of these superstars that I wanted to see in figure form released in one way, shape, or another. In 2023, I wanted to see two very specific Ultimate Edition women's figures. I wanted to see Charlotte from WrestleMania 34 in that all-gold attire, and I wanted to see Becky from SummerSlam 2022. Now, we did get an Elite that's very close to this, but it's not the same, and I was at this SummerSlam, so I think this figure would look spectacular in Ultimate Edition form, but we didn't get that. Now, I also made a post on Instagram this past year that I wanted to see the Zelina Vega, in specific, in this attire with this entrance flag. I wanted to see this released in Ultimate Edition form. I thought that was the only way that they could actually release this figure. And I'm happy to say that on Mattel Creations, they put up a pre-order a couple months ago for this LWO 5-pack. Now, in this 5-pack, we get this awesome looking Zelina Vega with that Puerto Rican flag. It looks amazing. I mean, it might as well be an Ultimate Edition figure, so even though it's not exactly an Ultimate Edition that I wished for, we are getting this figure, and I cannot wait. So in 2023, I wanted to see some very specific elites. So specifically, I wanted to see Bianca and Liv from their SummerSlam 2022 looks. We didn't get those. I also wanted to see Alexa Bliss in that real dark look that she had at that Mania, where she had the black running down her face. We did get it in Funko Pop form, but not figure form. And I wanted to see a Xia Li elite, because that basic she had a couple years ago, basic 136, was amazing. And I imagine if they made her in elite form, it would be even more spectacular. So I really hope she gets an elite. You know, if not in 2023, then hopefully in 2024. Now, I also wanted a Chelsea Green elite and an Asuka elite. And as you can see, they got green checks, so they had figures released or announced. And what we got is one step above what I asked for. We got that Asuka in not Elite form, but Ultimate Edition form, and as it stands, it's the best figure I've ever reviewed in LumberJillville. I just got it in 2024, so I'm pretty sure it's the front runner for 2024 LumberJillville Women's Wrestling Figure of the Year already, and we're just in January. But that is an amazing figure. So glad that we got it in Ultimate Edition form. And then as you can see, in Elite 108, we got Chelsea Green. Not one, but two. We have a Chase variant of hers, and it's been a little bit since we've got a Chase variant Women's Elite, so I'm real excited to see Chelsea Green in the Elite line and to get both of these. Now, in 2023, I did make a wish for what I wanted to see released in the Championship Showdown 2-packs. Now, I am going to say I didn't make a wish for 2024 as far as the Championship Showdown 2-packs go, because I have a feeling that these 2-packs are kind of on their way out the door. I don't think they sell very well. Just a guess here, I really do think they'll go back to Battle Packs. So that's my prediction for the end of 2024, 2025, is we'll start seeing Battle Packs again. Now, what I wanted to see in the Championship Showdown 2-packs in 2023 was Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, and also Yulisa Leon and Valentina Feroz. Now, unfortunately, Yulisa was released from her WWE contract without getting a figure. Hopefully, Valentina gets a basic. And as far as Kaden and Katana go, well, they were actually announced coming out in the future Basic series. We have Basic 147 Katana Chance and Basic 148 Kaden Carter. And I'm stoked. And not only that, they look to be in the same attire as the picture I wanted to see them released in. Now, the reason I wanted them in the 2-packs is they could come with an NXT Women's Tag Team Championship. Here, released in the Basic line, they won't come with that more than likely. But at least we're getting them in figure form. I think the Katana, they didn't do a good job with the midsection body sculpt. They should have chose the real small one. She's very small. And they didn't choose that, which is a head scratcher. The face looks meh. But the Kaden Carter looks amazing. I cannot wait to get this Kaden. So I'm stoked to have these two women's wrestling figures, two of my favorite superstars released in figure form, coming out here this year. So in 2023, there were 6 specific women that I wanted to see released in the basic line, because I thought if Mattel put the effort in, they could do these women's figures justice and make them really cool. And we'll talk about BFAB. As you can see, she's got that green check, so we did get a BFAB. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Dana Brooke, I have to say, she got absolutely screwed by Mattel. She has not had a figure in years, and she never got an Elite in her entire tenure in WWE, which is mind-boggling. She's in TNA now, so hopefully we see a figure of hers. But Zoe Stark, Thea Hill, Valentina Feroz, and Alba Fire also did not have any figures released in 2023. Now, talking about that BFAB, this is the most special one to me. Her being a friend of the channel, went to the same high school as me. I'm a big fan of hers, and this basic is everything that I know Mattel could have made. You know, when I made my wish list for 2023, this is what I envisioned for BFAB. Maybe not this specific attire, but all the detail they put into this figure is what I know they could do, and they did it. It was executed amazing, and I love this basic. Alright, so the AEW figure line in 2023 was an absolute train wreck in my opinion. Make sure to go watch the AEW Women's Figures of 2023 video if you want to see all the figures released. Now, we only had 3 women's figures that were released that weren't exclusives, chases, or rares, which is inexcusable. And as you can see my list right here, we literally got none of the figures I wanted to see. You know, this Jade, I wanted this Jade in this attire specifically. We did get a green-haired Jade, so that's nice, but we did not get Jade in this specific attire. I thought this would have been really cool. Now, as far far as Athena goes, Mercedes Martinez, Kiera Hogan, nope on all of those. However, Julia Hart was announced for Unrivaled Series 16. And hopefully we do get that in 2024. We didn't get it in 2023, but I put a check next to it because you know what? At least they announced that she's coming out. Now it is important to note that at the time of this video, Unrivaled 14 is the newest series up for pre-order on Ringside, and that's not supposed to arrive until March. So who knows when Unrivaled Series 16 Julia Hart will be released, but I'm real excited for it, so hopefully it's not too long. Hopefully Jazzwares picks up the pace. Alright, so in 2023, there were 4 specific women I wanted to see released in the Legends Elite line. I wanted to see Jazz, Victoria, Jacqueline, and Ivory. We got none of those. We didn't get any women released in the Legends line. They kind of took a little stall. You know, there were a few months where we didn't have any Legends released, and they just updated the packaging. So hopefully we see some women released in the future. But yeah, I mean, this list stands for what I want to see in 2024. So I didn't make any changes here for 2024. These women specifically, I want to see released in the Legends Elite line in 2024. Now, I thought Ringside Collectibles could really cash in on the return of Bayley, Io, and Dakota at SummerSlam 2022 and make a really cool 3-pack, an Elite 3-pack of those 3 in the gear specifically from SummerSlam 2022, but we unfortunately did not see it, which is a little frustrating. I think it would have been really, really cool to see this as an exclusive 3-pack. I mean, if Jazzwares is going to have an acclaimed 3-pack, then why can't we have a Damage Control Elite 3-pack from Mattel? So yeah, we did not see this, and we probably won't, but at least we got Io and Dakota in Damage Control gear, and we have Bayley coming out, and I believe Elite Series 109 in Damage Control gear as well. So as you can see with my 2023 wish list, there were some figures that were checked off the list, but there were a lot that they didn't make. Now, I'm really hoping my 2024 wish list has a lot more hits than misses, but I'm real excited to share with y'all what figures I want to see released in 2024. So without further ado, let's get started with the Ultimate Edition line and what I want to see this next year. I want an Ultimate Edition Bayley. She is more than deserving of it. And more specifically, I want to see her in that SummerSlam 2022 attire. We didn't get her in Elite form in this attire, and I think they could do a tremendous job if they released her in 2024 in the Ultimate Edition line in this attire. I just think it would be super, super awesome, and I really, really, really hope that we get it because, like I said, she deserves it, and this would be an awesome Ultimate. That's right. I want to see the legit boss Sasha Banks release an Ultimate Edition form in 2024. More specifically from her NXT TakeOver Brooklyn look from 2015 and my favorite match of all time against Bayley. Alright, so hear me out because I know this sounds real far-fetched getting a Sasha Ultimate in 2024, but here are my reasons why I think it can happen. So obviously Sasha is a free agent right now. Mercedes, free agent. I think she will make her return to WWE, not at the Royal Rumble, but I think at WrestleMania she'll make her return. Now, Steve Ozer has said in the past that they were working on a Sasha Banks Ultimate Edition, and then she left the company, so I don't know how far along they were, but maybe they were far along in the process, and if she comes back to the company, they can pick up right where they left off, and then we can get that Sasha Ultimate. So fingers crossed, if we get her released in that NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2015 gear, I will be on cloud 9. That is my most wanted figure of all time. Now, the women I want to see released in Elite form in 2024 from NXT are Lash Legend, Lola Vice, Kiana James, Fallon Henley, Lyra, and Wendy Chu. Mattel, if you're watching out there, please, please, please make a Wendy Chu Elite for Mayor Aaron. It is one of my most wanted figures out there, and it has been since she's made that character change. Now, I know she hasn't been on TV much over this last year or so due to injury, but I'm sure she'll be back, and that shouldn't stop them from making an Elite of hers. And I mean, let's be honest here, there's so many different looks they could go with. That would be amazing. They could go with her onesie pajamas, they could go with her tracksuit look, which I think would be awesome. There's just a lot of different options, so I would be so thrilled if they released an Elite of hers. Now, the rest of the line here, there's some really toyetic looks. I mean, Fallon and Kiana, Those are toyetic women, but they could also come with the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. We haven't gotten those yet. That'd be a good way to package them. Lola and Lash are two very toyetic superstars that would make awesome elites. And Lyra, quite frankly, she's a star. She deserves an elite. Some women I want to see released in the elite mainline are JC and Gigi, Mia Yim, Tamina, Kairi Sane, and Maxine Dupree. Alright, so I know JC and Gigi technically should have been included in my most wanted NXT Women's Elites I want to see in 2024, but I included them in this line because I think they will be released. They're so deserving of it. They each had a basic release this past year. Pretty good basics. The JC is awesome, but it leaves a lot to be desired because their entrance gear and the ring gear is so extravagant that I think you have to make them an elite form to really capture that. Also, they could come with the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. That would be awesome. Mia Yim is a pick for me because the only elite we've gotten of her was Reckoning, her character Reckoning, and that had a mask permanently attached to the face, which was so frustrating because you could tell under that mask it looked like a good face sculpt and face scan, but that mask was permanent. You couldn't take it off. It was super disappointing, and her basic left a lot to be desired with that face scan and sculpt. So I think she just needs a brand new elite that can capture her likeness, her face. She deserves it. Someone else that deserves it, Tamina. Tamina has never had an elite figure released in her entire long employment history with WWE. She's had some basics, and most recently her basic that I got about a year and a half ago has a chase version. It's a pretty good basic, but she deserves an elite. Now, Kairi Sane. Okay, Kairi Sane's Elite 73 figure is the second best wrestling figure of all time in my opinion, right behind that Ultimate Edition Asuka I just reviewed. It is best elite figure in my opinion. I think it's tremendous, so I can't even imagine how amazing they could make this new look that Kairi has, how awesome of a figure Mattel could make of her with this new look. Now, as far as Maxine goes, she is awesome. I think they could choose a lot of different ring attires and ring gear that would make this figure stand out. I think she would sell tremendously. And how good would she look next to Otis and Chad Gable? Shush, please! Now, I also want to see a Jade Cargill Elite released by Mattel in 2024. Now, Jade gets her own slide, and Jade gets her own slide because this is a unique situation. She just came from AEW, and she had some figures released by AEW that were actually really, really good. So I would love to see how Mattel makes a figure of Jade and how it compares and stacks up to the Jazzwares AEW figure. I have no doubt that Mattel and WWE can make an amazing Jade figure, and I hope they do. Now, I know she hasn't appeared on TV very much, at least as an active ring competitor. Apparently, she's training a lot at the Performance Center, getting better, getting ready, and she has appeared in some backstage segments and whatnot. But hopefully, she makes her in-ring debut with WWE at the Rumble, and either they can use this attire that I'm showing right here that she wore backstage, or whatever gear she wears at the Rumble, they could go with that, but I really want to see a Jade Cargill Elite released in 2024. Alright, some women that I think can be released in the basic line, and they could do a good job on. Zoe Stark once again makes a list from last year, as well as Thea Hale. I think Nia Jax would be awesome, Shotzi with the short hair, and an updated Tegan Nox. Alright, so Zoe and Thea made my list again. Now, I tried not to have a lot of repeat names from last year's list and this year's list, but these two are long overdue for figures, especially Zoe. You know, she went up through NXT and has been on the main roster for a little bit now with no figure announcement. And I think in basic form, they can make a killer Zoe and a killer Thea because they don't have real extravagant attire. I think they have the body sculpts already, you know, available, and I think they can make two really cool basics. Now, Nia's on my list for one reason only. Her basics are freaking awesome. If you go back and look at all her basics, I think I did a Nia Jax figure history, and she's had some amazing basics, so I cannot imagine how cool a new basic would be of hers. Now, Shotzi with that new look with the shaved head would be super cool, and it'd be cool to have that in figure form because not only does it represent a new look of Shotzi, but it represents why she did that, why she shaved her head in support of her sister that was battling cancer. I think that would just be great to have in figure form, and I'm sure it would be special to her and her sister, so I'd love to see that. And Tegan's basic I think is super underrated. The images they showed when it came out like 3 years ago now, I think. The images were bad, but the figure in hand is actually pretty darn good. And I think they could almost use that same scan and sculpt, make some changes to the hair, the attire, and boom, we have an updated Tegan figure, well deserved. So, figures I want Jazzwares AEW to release in 2024 is Chris Statlander in her Zoolander gear. That would be awesome. Serena Deeb in her first figure, long overdue. Riho in the blue, Deonna Purrazzo, and Timeless Toni Storm. Alright, so I am tempering my expectations for Jazzwares in AEW in 2024. Now, I hope they take a big step forward from 2023, which was brutal, to be honest with you. But here's my picks for what I want to see. You know, Toni Storm. I want to see Timeless Toni Storm. At the time of this recording, Unrivaled 14 is up for pre-order. It is Toni Storm, but it is severely outdated now. It is not Timeless Toni Storm, and that's not supposed to come out until March. So hopefully after we wait and Unrivaled 14 comes out, they start really knocking out the series like every month. They need to keep treading water and stay relevant, because they're quickly becoming irrelevant in my opinion. So a Timeless Toni Storm would be great, and what would be awesome is a chase or a rare, oh, it hurts saying that, in black and white. Jack's Classic Superstars, under the direction of Jeremy Padawer, has released, I believe, a Billy Graham, maybe some others, along the Classic Superstars line that were in black and white, and they looked really cool. They had some grayscaling on them. They looked really, really cool. So I think a Toni Storm would be awesome in that way. Even if the packaging was a little different, a little old-timey, I think that would be cool. So I would absolutely love that. I hate to say Chaser or Rare, but it is what it is. We won't get into that. Chris Statlander and her Zoolander gear would be cool if they could do it legally. That'd be awesome. Serena Deeb has long deserved a figure, never got one. Let's get Serena Deeb a figure, y'all. And let's get Deonna Purrazzo a figure. You know, she's long overdue. She really got screwed when Impact was gonna have figures released. You know, her and Jordan Grace are the two women that were supposed to be released, and it got canceled. It was a complete train wreck. And then Powertown signed TNA, which we'll get into later, and I thought, Deonna, Powertown. And then she left TNA, but now she's in AEW, so I really hope that Jazzwares makes a Deonna figure. I think it would sell great. She does have a Major Bendy out there, but as far as an action figure or wrestling figure in general, she doesn't have one, so she's well deserved. I would love to see her in the line. And some of you are probably wondering why I have Riho here, but hear me out. Jazzwares, lazy. Jazzwares, not doing a whole lot to change the game as of late, right? So I chose Riho here because she had a chase version out of 1,000, I believe, that was released, and it had a different face. And that face wasn't the one that was critically hated on, where she's screaming like that, okay? It was a smiling face, and it was okay. But here's my thought, okay? Use that face that seemed to get over a lot well with critics. Use that face. Use the same Riho, but just repaint the pink and have it blue, because blue Riho is the Riho to go. It'd be easy to do. Let's see it. Blue Riho 2024. In 2024, I want to see ringside or backstage personnel included in figure lines. Now, I would love to see a Samantha and Kayla figure. So I know this sounds obscure, but hear me out here. So in the past, Mattel has dabbled in ringside or backstage personalities. Michael Cole, Corey Graves. I have a Renee Young figure, and I think that's really, really cool. Now, there are some women in the company that I want to see represented in figure form that have really made a difference. Now, there are so many women on the active roster that are making a difference and really progressing women's wrestling in the ring and making it what it is today. But I think there are countless women backstage that are making a big difference, that are really showing how amazing women are, right? In this wrestling industry, there are some amazing women in all different aspects. And to get a ring announcer like Samantha and get a backstage personality like Kayla, I think it would be awesome. Samantha right now is strike the iron hot or something. Is that what I'm trying to say? She is very popular right now, and I think it'd be really cool to have a figure released of hers. And Kayla has been with the company for a while, and I would just love to see a figure of her. So whether they're released in basic or elite form, I just think it would be cool to have this additional series of backstage or ringside talent. You know, people that make what we watch on a weekly basis, people that make it special, that are special in their own way. All right, so recently Powertown Wrestling joined forces with TNA, so I was real excited to add this to my wish list for 2024. Now, these are the 3 women I would love to see released in the Powertown line. Mainly Su Yung, but I'd also love to see Gail Kim and Killer Kelly. Alright, so I'm not overly familiar with Powertown Wrestling here in LumberJillville because they haven't made any women's figures for me to review, but they did announce that they're making a Medusa, and I cannot wait to see images of that, and also to pre-order a couple of those so I can review it for y'all on the channel. But what I do know about them is the figures they have made so far are super over amongst the collecting community. They look really cool, so I'm real excited how they make the female figures, that they put as much attention to detail into them as they have the men's figures, because I think this partnership with them and TNA that just happened, I think this could be amazing. I cannot wait. Now, there are some big TNA women's names that I want to see in figure form. Now, right next to that NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2015 Sasha Banks Ultimate for my most wanted figure, it is Su Yung, the Undead Bride. I became a huge fan of hers in Impact years ago, and she had a program at the time with Allie, the bunny. That's how I got familiar with her too. But this Su Yung character, this Undead Bride, it grabbed my attention. I loved it. It's one of my favorite gimmicks and characters. If any of y'all aren't familiar with it but are familiar with Abaddon, go back and watch Su Yung. I think it's miles ahead better. I know it's a little different, but it's kind of similar. But the Su Yung gimmick, the Undead Bride, was amazing. And as you can see from the image, super toyetic. I mean, I think with the detail that Powertown puts into their figures, they can make one of, if not the best women's wrestling figure of all time, if they would choose to do Su Yung. And yes, Su Yung is on the TNA roster at the time of this video. She had a child a little while ago, but she's still on the roster, so I hope they sign her and make a figure. Now, some other women I want to see, Gail Kim. Gail Kim's only figure ever was an Impact Wrestling figure, and it is so hard to come by. I actually don't have it, and I have almost every women's wrestling figure. It was in red, and it was very rare. I don't think it was made in very high quantities, and it's pretty expensive on eBay. And I'm not a huge fan of that line, so I haven't spent that extra money to get it, but I would love to see her made in this line so that more people have access to buying a Gail Kim figure, because she is one of the trailblazers amongst the women's wrestling community and making a change for the women, and she's awesome. I think that would be great. Now, I also threw Killer Kelly in there because this would be an awesome figure with the mouthpiece in, the jacket, her red hair. I just think we could get a really cool Killer Kelly figure. Big fan of hers, would love to see it in this line. 2024, I would love to see Boss Fight Studios release Lady Shani in their Legends of Lucha Libre line. Alright, so the last, I guess, supreme figure that I reviewed from Boss Fight Studios in the Legends of Lucha Libre line was at Lady Maravilla, and that figure was amazing. It didn't get the love it deserved amongst the collecting community. You still don't hear much about it, and I think it's because it's a relatively obscure name for a lot of us Westerners over here, but I have to tell you, it's an amazing, tremendous figure. They have it figured out over at Boss Fight. They make some quality wrestling figures that really aren't overpriced like a lot of these companies out there. They do an amazing job. They're one of my favorite companies out there making wrestling figures. They just don't make them at a very rapid pace, but the quality speaks for itself. You know, they've made a Taya in that basic form, which looks cool. She has a Supreme figure coming out soon, and that looks really cool. I'll review it on here. But I want to see Lady Shani. Lady Shani is not only an accomplished luchadora, but look how toyetic it would be. I think it would be amazing. When I was actually doing research on Lady Maravilla before I reviewed her figure, I came across a lot of matches and programs between her and Lady Shani, and that's what got me interested and made me say, I want a dang Lady Shani figure. And there we have it. Mayor Aaron's LumberJillville wish list for my most wanted women's wrestling figures of 2024. I hope we see a high percentage of what I showed today actually get released or at least announced. I'm real excited in the upcoming months to see. But what I'm really curious about is to see in the comments below what figures you want to see. You don't have to do every little brand like I did, but just in general, who do you want to see women's wrestling wise in figure form in 2024? I'm real excited to read the comments. I cannot wait to see who y'all want to see if it compares to mine, if it agrees with mine, or if it's completely different. I'm sure there are some names that I left out, and right now you're like, that's it? You didn't list so-and-so? type, right? So type away, let me know in the comments who you want to see. Now that being said, thanks for stopping by LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. For our first look at all future women's wrestling figure reviews, make sure to hit subscribe and become an official resident of LJV today. Also, head on over to ringsidecollectibles.com and use coupon code LJV at checkout to save 10% on your next order of women's wrestling figures. Now, if you haven't voted already, make sure to check out on the channel. I have a video for all the elites, all the basics, and all the AEW figures of the women released in 2023. And you're going to vote in that video, and I'm going to count up all those votes. And the Jillies Award Show will be either at the end of this month or early February, where I announce the winners of their respective categories, and I also announce the LumberJillville Figure of the Year. So stay tuned. That'll be coming here in a few weeks. But until then, I'll see you with my next content. Thanks for watching, and have a great night, y'all.